After Susan became Michael's wife, Olivia became resentful because she had always wanted to marry Michael. In her jealousy, she massacred Susan's entire family and strangled her, mocking her for being unworthy of Michael. Just then, a UFO approached them, scaring Olivia away. Severely injured, Susan collapsed to the ground. When she opened her eyes, she saw a woman who looked exactly like her, an alien female general named Alice. Alice had come to Earth on a mission, and only after completing 10 tasks could she leave. Susan was her first target, and she was to take her place. Susan asked Alice to take care of her husband, Michael, then closed her eyes and passed away. Alice snapped her fingers and entered Susan's body. She opened her eyes and saw Michael just returning home. Seeing her injured, he was heartbroken. He took out a jade bracelet and told her to wear it at all times so that no one would dare harm her. Olivia was sentenced to death. She drank poison and collapsed. At last, Alice had avenged Susan. Years later, Michael became emperor, and Alice became his one and only empress. He held her in his arms and kissed her passionately. Time passed quickly. Michael grew old, but Alice's appearance remained unchanged, forever youthful. Before taking his last breath, Michael asked, "Who are you really?" Alice replied, "I do not belong to this world. I come from another planet, but we are destined to be tied together for 10 lifetimes. I will see you in the next life." With that, Michael slowly closed his eyes. 1,000 years later, a girl named Susan was about to jump off a building when Alice stopped her. Picking up Susan's diary, Alice learned of her tragic experiences. Susan had been forced into an arranged marriage with Bruce, only to suffer constant mistreatment from both her husband and his family. His first lover falsely accused her of infidelity, leading to relentless coercion for a divorce. Alice merged with Susan's body and vowed to seek revenge for her. When Bruce saw Alice, he immediately lashed out at her and ordered her into the car. As Alice reached for the door, she accidentally tore it off. Bruce was dumbfounded, unable to believe what he had just witnessed. He tried to punish her, but with a mere flick of her finger, the car rolled off to the side. Terrified, Bruce no longer dared to mistreat her. Back home, Olivia hurried downstairs and grabbed Bruce's hand. She said, "Susan cheated on you behind your back. When I confronted her, she pushed me down the stairs and injured my forehead." But the truth was that Olivia had arrogantly threatened Susan to divorce Bruce. When Susan refused, Olivia had smashed a teacup against her own head. Bruce demanded a divorce. To his surprise, she signed the divorce papers without hesitation. Susan had loved him for 10 years and had always refused to divorce him before. He told her, "We're not officially divorced yet, so you must still attend the museum opening with me today as my wife." Just then, Alice received a signal. Her target in this lifetime was inside the museum. Upon arriving at the museum, she quickly found Michael. Walking up to him, she deliberately spoke loudly to catch his attention. Their eyes met. It was their long-awaited reunion in their 10th lifetime. But Michael regarded her coldly and said, "If you're trying to climb the social ladder, find a less childish way next time." Alice took a step closer to explain, but his secretary interrupted and led him away. Bruce warned Alice not to mess with Michael, but she scowled and walked off. Later, Olivia took the stage to perform a dance. Alice mocked her, saying her movements were as clumsy as a crab's. Olivia's friend was furious, believing Alice was simply jealous of Olivia's talent. Unfazed, Alice changed into a dance costume, put on a mask, and stepped onto the stage. She performed a graceful and mesmerizing dance that won the audience's applause. Michael felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity with her dance because, in truth, she had performed it for him 1,000 years ago. After the performance, Alice saw Michael and pretended to sprain her ankle, falling into his arms and wrapping her arms tightly around his waist. Bruce was so jealous. Michael had always been allergic to physical contact with women, yet when Alice touched him, there was no reaction. This only made him more intrigued by her. Bruce attempted to strike Alice in a fit of rage, but Michael stopped him. Alice told Bruce, "I have no intention of saving our marriage." Then, she wrapped her arm around Michael's and said, "Now, I'm interested in him." Michael assumed she was using him as a shield to provoke Bruce on purpose. Bruce asked her to leave with him, but Michael intervened, saying, "She already said she doesn't want to. Can't you understand that?" Bruce dared not argue because Michael was too powerful to offend. Left with no choice, He reluctantly apologized to Michael and walked away. Michael originally planned to drive Alice home, but just as they were about to leave, she sensed danger and insisted on driving instead. Meanwhile, Michael received a call warning him that his enemies had discovered his whereabouts and were planning an ambush. However, Alice remained calm and skillfully lost their pursuers in a high-speed chase. As they stepped out of the car, a bullet suddenly flew toward them. Although Alice had the ability to dodge it, she deliberately pretended to be shot to earn Michael's sympathy. He held her in his arms, worried for her safety. Later, he rushed her to the hospital, where she was stabilized after emergency treatment. When Alice woke up, Michael sat beside her and asked, "What do you want from me?" She smiled and replied, "I want your love." Michael carried her to the VIP ward, astonishing his assistant, who had never seen him physically close to a woman before. Half a month later, Alice was discharged. Michael invited her to move into his villa, telling her, "You saved my life, so this villa is my gift to you." In addition, he arranged maids and bodyguards for her. Alice took out a whip and said, "If you're still mad at me, you can use this to punish me." Michael was caught off guard, looking flustered. Alice explained that she had read online that this could improve intimacy between couples. Embarrassed, he quickly made an excuse and left. One day, as Alice was undressing for a bath, Michael suddenly walked in. She screamed and ordered him to leave, but instead, he slowly approached, lifting her chin and wrapping an arm around her waist. Thinking he was about to kiss her, she held her breath, only for him to suddenly tighten his grip around her throat and ask coldly, "Who are you?" I looked into Susan's background. She was always timid and obedient. How could she possibly have the guts to seduce me? Alice smiled and replied, "I'm your savior, of course." Then, she suddenly dropped the towel wrapped around her, leaving Michael flustered. Blushing, he hurriedly turned and left the room. Alice returned to Bruce's house to pack her belongings, but Bruce flew into a rage, grabbing her wrist tightly. She used her superpowers to send a jolt of electricity through him, forcing him to let go. Olivia ordered Alice to leave Bruce immediately and even tried to hit her. However, Alice blocked the attack and slapped her in return. Furious, Olivia deliberately smashed a vase, intending to frame Alice. But just as Bruce entered the room, he saw Alice lying on the ground and assumed Olivia had pushed her. Panicked, he rushed over to check her injuries and helped her up. What he didn't know was that, just moments earlier, Alice had snapped her fingers to freeze time, then collapsed onto the floor on purpose to win his sympathy. Later, Alice used her powers to heal the wound on her hand. The next day, Alice packed her luggage, preparing to leave, but Bruce stopped her and ordered her to accompany him to the film set. She was initially reluctant, but upon suddenly foreseeing that Michael would also be there, she agreed to Bruce's request. Olivia was the lead actress in the production, playing the role of a calligraphy master. However, her handwriting was so poor that Alice couldn't help but mock her. Furious, Bruce scolded Alice, accusing her of deliberately stirring up trouble and bullying Olivia. Annoyed, Alice retorted, "Then let me show you what real calligraphy looks like." Her flawless calligraphy left everyone on set in awe, including Michael, who had just arrived. As the main investor of the production, he was impressed by her skill. Olivia, on the other hand, was furious that Alice had stolen the spotlight. Michael then told the director that he wanted Alice to be the female lead of the film. Bruce tried to speak up for Olivia, but Michael cut him off, saying, "I'm the investor. I decide who gets the role." After reading the script, Alice realized that it told the story of Commander Michael and his wife during the Republican era, something she had personally experienced. During the trial shoot, she was fully immersed in her performance, transporting everyone back to that wartime era. Her acting skills amazed everyone. The director earnestly begged Alice to take the role. She walked up to Michael, leaned in close, and said, "Go on a date with me, and I'll agree to star in this drama." Bruce accused her of publicly cheating on him, but she provocatively sat on Michael's lap, challenging Bruce. Olivia, unwilling to concede, said, "The female lead of this drama is supposed to be skilled at playing the era. If Alice can play better than me, I'll give up the role to her." However, Olivia's airy performance was terrible. The harsh, grating sound left everyone speechless. But when Alice took the stage, her performance was melodious and captivating, earning applause from both Michael and the director. Olivia admitted that she had been too focused on beauty treatments and dieting, neglecting her aero practice, But Michael and Alice refused to accept such an excuse, criticizing her for lacking professional ethics as an actress. Humiliated in front of everyone, Olivia felt deeply embarrassed and resolved to take revenge on Alice. She ordered her assistant to swap the prop bow and arrows for real ones. The assistant hesitated, but Olivia threatened her. "I've been paying for your seriously ill mother's medical expenses. Do you want to see her treatment cut off?" The assistant had no choice but to obey. During the shoot, the director instructed Olivia to shoot an apple off Alice's head with a bow and arrow, but Olivia deliberately aimed at Alice's head instead. Alice froze time and redirected the arrow, leaving Olivia stunned. In another scene, Olivia attempted to attack Alice with a sword, but Alice once again dodged effortlessly. She then took the sword to the director and informed him that the fake prop sword had been switched with a real one. The director promised to get to the bottom of it. However, Olivia was still unwilling to give up and ordered her assistant to secretly drug Alice's drink. After drinking the water, Alice suddenly felt dizzy. Seeing her hurriedly leaving, Michael quickly followed her. The system informed Alice that she had been drugged with an aphrodisiac. She splashed water on her face, trying to stay clear-headed and suppress her desires. Michael helped her onto the bed to rest when Bruce suddenly barged in, accusing her of infidelity. Michael took off his suit jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Bruce threw Michael's jacket aside, attempting to cover Alice with his own, but she refused. Just then, Olivia walked in and told Bruce, "A group of thugs just beat me up." They claimed Alice sent them. Bruce called Alice vicious. She could no longer tolerate it and slapped Olivia across the face. Enraged, Bruce raised a hand to strike Alice, but Michael stopped him, warning, "You dare touch my leading lady? If you harm her, I'll kill you." He then wrapped Alice in his suit jacket and carried her away. After filming wrapped up, the crew showered Alice with praise. Olivia mocked them, saying they were all willing to bow down for money, but the assistant director retorted, "We already know about you secretly switching the props last time. You'd better watch yourself." Bruce was stunned, unwilling to believe Olivia could have done such a thing. Alice suddenly stood on tiptoe, leaned close to Michael, and whispered, "I'm not actually from Earth, I'm an alien." Thinking she was joking, he wrapped his arm around her waist, teasing her. Later, they sat together drinking. Alice got drunk, and out of nowhere, a bottle of liquor appeared in her hand, leaving Michael in shock. Unable to stand properly, she stumbled into his arms. Their eyes met. She reached out to touch his face and kissed him tenderly. Memories of their love from 1,000 years ago flooded back, making their kiss grow deeper and more passionate. Michael told her, "I'll wait for you. Once you officially divorce, we'll be together." Alice was overjoyed her mission was finally nearing completion. A few days later, she finalized her divorce with Bruce. "Don't come to regret this," Bruce warned. She smiled and replied, "Of course not." 3 years later, the drama Alice starred in became a massive hit, winning the hearts of countless viewers. Olivia grew more jealous. She asked Bruce when he would marry her, but he evaded the question with an excuse. He had unknowingly fallen in love with Alice and regretted divorcing her, yet he didn't dare to admit it. Alice opened her eyes to see the handsome Michael lying beside her. She sneakily kissed him, and as he woke up, he flipped her beneath him, pinning her down. He murmured, "You kept me up all night in bed. How should I punish you?" Without waiting for an answer, he captured her lips in a fiery kiss. 50 years later, a UFO slowly descended toward Alice. She stood before Michael's gravestone, reminiscing about the 10 lifetimes they had spent together, falling in love again and again. Every moment was deeply beautiful and unforgettable. She waved goodbye to him, then vanished and departed Earth on the UFO.